to our session on beating burnout, discover the secrets of stressful living. Let's all begin by being in a comfortable place. You can gently close your eyes or let them be open. Rest your hands in your lap or by your side. Start by taking deep breath through your nose, filling up your lungs completely, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Breathe in deeply, filling up your lungs, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Let's do one more time. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly, completely. And let your breath find its natural rhythm. As you breathe, allow yourself becoming more present. I'd like you to acknowledge any stress or burnout that you have been carrying. You don't need anything to resolve now, but just recognize its presence and how it makes you feel. And it's okay to have those feelings, and you're not alone. Within every inhale, imagine drawing in calm and strength, and with every exhale, releasing a bit of that stress and tension. Inhale calm, and exhale any stress, feeling your body becoming lighter with every breath that you take out. And in this peaceful place, invite in any sense of hope and inner strength. Know that you have a capacity to face these challenges. Just nurture your inner resilience. Take one more deep breath in, filling yourself with calm and strength, and exhale any remaining tensions. Inviting all parts of you to be here, to listen in, to understand, to make meaning of it, and then to make some changes as it feels comfortable to do. And with every breath now, start to bring your awareness back into the room, feeling the support of a chair beneath you. And when you feel ready, slowly open your eyes. Thank you for taking this time for yourself. Let's carry this into our session now. So today we are going to tackle the subject of beating burnout. So we will actually do it in 2 sessions. The topic itself is quite elaborate and complex, so I would do it in 2 sessions. And we'll get into understanding burnout, types of burnout, root causes. We'll also see how there's a forward, how do you look forward into life having this stress going away. And then I will use my example, I'll talk about that, and preparing, and then we'll get into an IFS session, because we'll also look into perspective of how IFS looks into burnout, and dealing with burnout, and then we'll get into an IFS session. And if you have time, which I have doubt, but let's imagine if you have time, we'll get into sound as well, whatever time we have. And then we'll get into live Q&A at the end of the hour. Okay. So let's talk about burnout. So many of you may not be aware, but I spent many years in becoming expert into burnout prevention and recovery. I experienced 2 burnouts in my corporate life, which then deeply impacted my life and my health at that time, 2008, 2012, 11. And those experiences motivated me to actually dedicate all my last years into this aspect. So it's been more than now 12 years, 13 years that I've been into this work. And I've actually worked with almost more than 200, 240 individuals, something in that range, to help them overcome burnouts. And we'll get into different levels of burnouts, using basically things that I used to know before and then now much more into using IFS. So my story was in my corporate life. I faced an incredible political and it was much more of the betrayals and toxic environment that was created for me, which then exhausted me, detached me from my work, and I was unable to find joy or motivation. And that led me to get into this journey to combat, basically how to combat burnout from where you are. Now, definitions. So there is 2 definitions. One is WHO has a very elaborate definition. There are many definitions there. Burnout is a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. It is characterized by feeling energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one job, or feeling of negativism or cynicism related to one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. So this is basically what WHO says. My perspective is burnout is not only a workplace stress, but also deeply tied to how our subconscious is, what we have experienced in our life, or often comes from life traumas that have embedded certain negative behaviors or habits, or what we call protectors. And these manifest as cynicism, disengagement, lethargy, depression, which if unmanaged often leads to trigger and also can be further triggered by events of life that then leads to basically what we call burnout, where you are almost unable to function in a way. And there are different varies of what we can call burnout. Now, there is lots of studies around this. I mean, United States says it almost loses 550 billion annually. Stanford University did a study, said, well, about $190 billion in healthcare expenses because of burnout, and almost 120,000 deaths related annually. Gallup made an interesting survey, said an employee loses as much as 34% of their work because of disengagement due to burnout. So there is lots of things about that. But what I also found is that burnout, and especially with all people I worked with, it was not just about workplace. A lot of burnouts that I have worked with is people living normal lives, housewives, children. I mean, I worked with kids, women, men, nothing to do with workplace. And so it's the term is although associated with workplace, but it can come from very, very different aspects. For example, my story was a sudden life event at workplace led me into a downward spiral. I did not manage that burnout, the first one that I had, and I managed it superficially, which then came back with the second event, which was really, really very strong. I was working last week with somebody, she had 4 burnouts, and 2 of them were linked to when she gave birth to her children. That created burnout. So there is not one aspect around that. Who is vulnerable? Classically, because that's an interesting thing to understand. So people that are in high stress jobs absolutely are very vulnerable. People in healthcare, in teaching, banking, anybody who deals with public people, social workers, police, and They are very, very subject to burnouts. This is what is well known. Also, people facing toxic work or home environment, or having narcissist managers or partners or parents, housewives or women that are managing household responsibility as well as taking care of work. So, and they can have children in a highly competitive educational environment. Classically, this is what I saw worked with as well. And individuals dealing with serious health conditions themselves, or who have dealt with somebody that had a serious health condition that we have seen as well. Okay. So what are the symptoms that you see? Feeling of depletion of energy, exhaustion. This is often most noticeable symptom. Individuals may feel physically drained and may be difficult to muster energy for even simple tasks. And they might feel very tired even after a night's sleep. I used to be someone who is very energetic and enthusiastic. When I faced my own toxic major event at workplace, I used to find myself continuously fatigued, struggling to get through my day, and feeling drained even at the beginning of a day. You start to have increased mental distance from your job or life. People may develop a negative or cynical attitude towards their work or their health condition or their partners or their parents or colleagues. They may feel disconnected or indifferent about their job or life and lose some kind of what we call passion. So in my story, after my 2008 professional story, I became emotionally numb. That's how I used to feel, and detached from work and from life. Of course, I got into medication, which didn't help, but that's how it used to be. Reduced efficacy, so burnout can lead to significant drop in productivity and performance. You may find difficult to concentrate, make decisions, meet deadlines, leading to decreased job satisfaction, or in the case of at home place of being present for your family. So the woman I worked with, example was when her first kid was born, she just completely could not even take care of her own family and of her child who was just newborn. Physical symptoms can be headaches, stomachache, muscle pains. These ailments are often stress related and can just become exaggerated as feeling actually being unwell. I used to have incredible headaches and migraines without any clear medical cause, which was normally correlated with what I was going through. Emotional symptoms, they include feeling helplessness, frustration, and even being overwhelmed. Burnout can lead to anxiety and depression if not addressed. I remember working with someone who used to go into frequent crying spells, feeling hopelessness about managing household responsibility and workplace. Just used to become helpless. Behavioral changes, individuals might start isolating themselves, showing up late or missing work or home responsibilities. They may also turn to unhealthy coping mechanisms like overeating, alcohol, drugs, which is pain mechanism. I remember I used to binge watching TV shows when I had my second burnout. I used to watch dark serials, dark subjects, which was linked to what I was going through. Anybody being abused at workplace or that is what I used to watch. And so I can actually attest to the overwhelming sense of exhaustion and detachment that one gets into, and that actually drains you completely from your life. So burnout is a significant issue. It can cause personal and economic costs, and understanding its definition, symptoms, vulnerability is crucial for managing it effectively. And it can affect wide range of people. And I know that since COVID, this has become even more prevalent now. So by just understanding basic symptoms, we can start to pay attention and then start to move forward. So let's get into understanding types of burnouts, because apparently there are two types from what I've seen. And I'm being very simplistic, they're slow, what I call slow burnout, and then there's a fast one. Now, slow burnout is a gradual decline in engagement and productivity over time. So it takes years. And this typically burnout is characterized as a slow but steady increase in feeling of exhaustion and disengagement. Consider a dedicated teacher or a person who starts a career with enthusiasm, but over years becomes increasingly disillusioned due to constant pressures, administrative or lack of support, or narcissistic or difficult manager or colleagues, and then starts to get emotionally drained, eventually losing the passion once, and then you see getting into a state of just I've lost it all. These key symptoms are persistent fatigue, emotional numbness, and noticeable drop in performance presence. Fast burnout, and this is the other extreme, which I call, these occurs suddenly, often triggered by significant events. The decline in mental and physical health can happen within weeks or even months. And this is a case where I was working with somebody where basically birth of a child, just immediately within weeks, she was absolutely, within weeks, she was into a state of complete burnout and was unable to handle anything. So it used to be exhausted, severe anxiety, and could not do her job for sure, but also could not take care of the kid. So there are these two extremes, and of course, as usual, there is a lot in between. Now, root cause, what I found in 10 out of 10 cases, not one, there is a unresolved childhood trauma, always, always, always. And these issues resurface under prolonged stress that then starts to contribute to neglect, to burnout. So it's not that the person was already in that state. Somehow the protector managed it and continued, but then comes extreme prolonged stress, and then the burnout happens. Okay. The second one is, of course, strong stress in workplace or personal relationship. Continuous exposure to stress at workplace or in personal life, such as toxic environment or strained personal relationship, can lead to burnout. I believe this is straightforward. Somebody who is dealing with an unsupportive boss, but under constant pressure, may just get into a state of burnout, or a woman who has a narcissistic partner and cannot deal or is unable to manage it, then can get into burnout. Significant life changes, major life threats, such as loss of job, death of a loved one, or serious health can trigger emotional and physical stress that contributes to burnout. A person who loses their spouse and has to manage life while dealing with grief and increased responsibility, or with what happened to the spouse, how he or she died, that just creates that overwork, and it happens. My second burnout was actually coming from that, because somebody took over everything that I worked for 25 years overnight, and then there it went. Neglecting self-care and stress signals. So ignoring early signs of stress and failing to take time for self-care can exacerbate the stress levels, leading to burnout. And previous burnouts, this I've seen so many examples of this, my own example, but the one I was talking about last week I was dealing with. And the reason is that when we have the classical way by which burnouts are handled in the world is either medication or sometimes putting it, hiding it, which is classically what happens at workplace, and which means that it kind of gets, handled. So your protectors handle it, but never root cause was never found and released, and then second event and boom, it comes, and that's what happened to me. So key takeaways is basically understanding different type of burnouts helps in identifying, addressing them, and recognizing root cause provides insight into some kind of preventive mechanism that we can do to mitigate. This is what we'll try and do today as well, a little bit into that. So how does way forward how do we do using IFS in a way? So first thing is to understand that you have become aware, okay, awareness of stress signals, okay, that you may have, and from a IFS perspective, basically what IFS does is that it offers a unique approach to dealing with burnout by addressing various parts of a person's psyche that contributes to this state. So it helps individual understanding and harmonize their individual internal systems to reduce stress and then prevent burnout. Okay. Now, there are, at least from what I've seen and worked with, there are 4 parts, protective parts, that come in play. Now, burnout often involves protective parts that are trying to help, but actually they may contribute to the problem. These parts often take roles to protect the person from perceived threats, but because they exaggerate, hence the system starts to break down. So the one is the striving part. So this is a part that pushes for achievement, productivity, believing that rest or slowing down is unacceptable. Okay, so this is classically when it comes from the parents, where you have to achieve something to be recognized or to be known. There's a perfectionist part, which kind of goes hand in hand, which demands flawless performance and sets very high standards. Then there's another one, which is people pleaser or pleaser part. Okay, so this prioritizes other needs over our own, and this could come from a loved one being very sick, or loved one or somebody needing a lot of emotional support, and it kind of starts to say, well, you are not as important as the other one, and it takes attention away from you. So the protector is pleaser, but this over pleasing leads to incredible amount of stress for the system. So a parent who always puts family demands first, neglecting personal over the other needs. It can be the same at workplace. Okay, critic. This is a part that harshly judges any perceived failures or shortcoming, which then increases the stress, which then leads to burnout. Okay, so somebody who is constantly criticized for their work, either in the beginning as a kid and afterward at workplace, or in relationship, the critic, which is a protector, then starts to judge anything that's not right and creates issues. And then, of course, there are exiles. These are the traumas, which are behind the protective parts, and we work with the exiles to release their emotional burdens from the past experiences. And there are 2 kinds of exiles that come in. One is the one which was younger one, which was unlovable, felt unlovable. And then the second one which comes in is one which was always living in constant fear or rejection, abandoned by the family, because if you don't perform, then you are not the best, and so feels abandoned. So that's classically what you found. And so, in IFS, we go through unburdening process, start to unburden the parts, the protectors, and then with permission, we go and help the younger ones. Okay, that's what we do. And the whole idea is that you start to access more of the self, which is from a place of curiosity, compassion for your being. And so what we normally seen is with IFS, recognizing the external stressors and then working with them allows to reduce the stress, and then stress reduction allows to bring more self energy, and then you start to integrate and negotiate with them. So that's what, and this is what we'll try and do for this session today. Okay, I know we have been a little bit long in the theory, but it was important to set the perspective state. Okay, so what I want you to do is to look at two things, because we are going to work with two protectors from the four that we saw that normally come in. So I want you to think about your life. If you have seen any specific signs or notice in your professional or personal life burnout situations, and do you recognize for yourself two parts? One is that is always striving, that is looking for some achievement, and then there's one which is a critic voice that is always saying, well, we didn't do enough, we must do more, we can't do this, etc. So I want you to think of your own situation and look for these two ones. One is trying to strive to achieve something, and then another one which is basically you hear this critic voice, and we will use them in our session. Okay, so take a moment, go deep inside, see if you can find those two parts within you. Okay, here we go. So just see if you can begin to find your comfortable spot. You can sit, you can close your eyes, or you can keep them open. Have a piece of paper or pencil close by for you to jot down insight during or after the exercise. Now start by centering your breath. Inhale slowly, deeply through your nose, and then exhale gently through your mouth. Breathe in again, deeply, filling up your chest, and then slowly releasing any stress or tension as you breathe out through your mouth. Now let's take and establish your safe place. Visualize a person, a place, a memory that brings you a sense of serenity, protection, and wellness. It can be a person, it can be a place, it can be a memory, or an activity you do. Anything that brings you a sense of serenity, protection, and feeling safe. See yourself moving towards that place or person or doing that activity. This is your safe space, your sanctuary, which will provide you comfort and stability whenever you need it, during the session or afterwards, encouraging feeling of safe and connection. Now, with your safe space clearly envisioned, see if you can shift your focus to the striving part of you that constantly pushes you for achievement, productivity, or some form of outcome. See yourself being in that situation. Where you have to do something to achieve something. Now, as you connect to that, or think about that, notice any physical sensation or images that are coming up. Any discomfort in your body, tightness, or body responses, or an image that may come up. Now just breathe into that area of your body where you feel discomfort, or into the image. And just notice your feeling. How do you feel as you do that? That's how the part that you're connected to, whether image or your body, holds that emotion that you feel now. Just recognizing, well, that's a part of me that feels that way. So I will become curious and compassionate so that I can explore these sensations and create understanding from what meaning they would like to bring to me. So just become curious. And if possible, compassionate, but just be curious, saying, I will get some deeper information from here, from this image or this part of my body. Now connect back to this part, being curious, and ask a question. And what is your intention for me? So you could be asking to the image, or you could be asking to that physical sensation in your body, saying, what do you want for me? And notice what you hear. Don't judge. Just hear it. and see if you can acknowledge, if it makes sense what you hear. Most of the time it's trying to protect you from something or some situation. So just acknowledging, I get it, I understand that. This is your intention. But ask a question saying, okay, but how do you impact my life, my day-to-day life and the world around me? So what kind of impact do you create in my life? Stay curious and notice what you hear. See if you can acknowledge what you heard, how it's trying to impact your life. Just acknowledging, okay, I get it. I understand there is some side kind of fear there. So ask this part of your body or the image, saying, what are you afraid would happen to me? What are you protecting me from? And see what you hear. What are your fears? Notice what you hear and ask a following question. So, okay, if that happens, then what are you afraid would happen to me? What is your biggest fear for me? Hear that out. Remember to stay curious, even compassionate if possible. So what you would have heard is what is it trying to protect you from happening. So just acknowledging, okay, I understand this is what you are trying to protect me from. Just acknowledge. And then ask a question saying, okay, when did you start doing all of this? How old was I when you took on this role of protecting me this way? How old was I? Tell you an age, a number. And ask it saying, what was going on then? And what belief did that younger me create from that experience? And see what you hear. Yeah, how old was I when it all started and when it created this role or took on this role? and what was going on then. Because it'll tell you at that age what was the little you, younger you, was going through. And then the following question is, what belief did the younger self create from that experience? Yeah, see if you can acknowledge what you heard and thank this part of you, this sensation in your body or this image. Ask it if it's willing to give you its name. Saying, how can I call you? And don't judge the name that you hear. Any name is good. And ask it with a name, whatever name it told you, saying, okay, tell me what needs to happen for you, for this part, with the name, to be relaxed or be less present in my life. So what needs to happen? So it'll tell you some form of action or condition that needs to happen for it to feel relaxed or be less present. Acknowledge it and thank to this part with the name that you got now for what it brought to your awareness, and ask it if it's okay for it to step back so that you can speak to the critic. So ask it to step back and let it know that you are going to be following up and speaking over next days. And see if it can step back. And if you can now, invite the critic part of you, the part that judges on perceived failures or shortcomings or situation. Think about that noise, the voice that you hear in your head, just like critic. Yeah, bring it on, invite it. Saying, I would like you to come in, and invite it with saying, I'm curious to understand more, and maybe we can do something together. So as you invite it, notice any physical sensation or image linked to that critic that you feel in your body. Just breathe into that area, into the image, and become curious. Because it's critic, and normally you either get judged or something, so it is important that you become curious, saying, I'm here to understand you, understand why you are doing what you're doing, so we can work something out together. So take a moment to be curious, connect to that area in your body or the image, breathe. If there's any other voice or anything coming up, you can always ask them, saying, go into the waiting room as I work with the critic. Now ask to the critic, saying, well, what is your real intention for me? What do you really want from me? And hear what it says to you. Remember, be curious. And see if that makes sense. And acknowledge it, saying, I get you, I understand that. And then just ask a following question, saying, what kind of impact do you create in my life, in the people around me, in my day-to-day, in my world around? So what impact do you create in my life? And notice what you hear. And remember to stay curious. So see if you can acknowledge how the critic is impacting your day-to-day. Stay curious. It may have some fears. And so ask it, saying, you may have some fears. What are you afraid would happen to me? And ask a following question. Okay, if that happens, then what are you afraid would happen then to me? What is your biggest fear for me? And see what you hear. So what it told you is what it's trying to protect you from. This is what it's afraid of. Now ask it, when did it all start? What was going on? And at what age? How old was I when this started to happen? Tell you an age. Ask it what was going on then. Did you get it from this life, or did you inherit from some sort of legacy, something you saw in your grandparents, in family, in the culture? Now see if you can acknowledge what you heard and have some compassion for this part, for yourself. Stay with that compassion and ask a question saying, what kind of belief this younger self create from that experience or from what it learned? What belief did it form? And see if you can acknowledge that. And ask for its name. Saying, how can I call you? Just take note of the name that comes up. Don't judge it. And now ask to this, saying, okay, tell me what needs to happen for you, the critic part, to be less present in my day-to-day life. What needs to happen? She'll tell you some form of actions for you. And see if you can acknowledge them, what you hear. Yeah, thank them, thank it. And see if now, if you can invite both the striving part, the one that you called before, and the critic, which is here, and invite them both to have a conversation. And you stay curious and compassionate and bring in courage. Now ask to the two parts to express their need to each other. The striving part can share its role in pushing for achievement, and the critic can share its role of preventing perceived failures or shortcoming. So let them talk with each other about their roles. Guide both parts to see that their roles are related to your overall well-being and healing, and that they can both work together by allowing space for emotion to be felt and understood without being overwhelmed. Now take a moment to ask to these two parts, thank them both, acknowledge their roles, and let them both know that you are going to continue to hear with them, dialogue with them. And take a moment to share your vision for yourself with your parts, and let them know you will continue healing journey moving forward. But what is your vision for yourself? thank them all. And what we are going to do is we are going to transition into a small meditation that I'm going to use tuning forks to help with that meditation, so we can do a closure with some tuning forks. So whatever comes up to free up, release, use a tuning fork to do that with this frequency. Okay. Now take a deep breath through your nose, filling your lungs completely. Bring your attention to your breath. And as you continue to breathe deeply, steadily, bring to mind the insights and experiences from your session today. Reflect on your understanding you have gained about yourself and about your parts. Imagine a warm light at the center of your chest. This light represents your inner wisdom and compassion. With every breath, allow this light to grow and expand. Filling your entire body with warmth and kindness. As this light expands, let it reach out to the striving part and the critic within you. Imagine this light surrounding those parts with love and understanding, compassion, and acknowledge their presence and offering them comfort. Now set an intention to carry this sense of compassion and understanding with you as you move forward. Know that you have tools and insights to navigate stress more constructively, bringing in more inner harmony and resilience. Take a few more deep breaths, feeling this light of compassion, wisdom within you. Thank you for your presence and participation today, and carry this sense of peace and connection with you as you continue your journey.